So I told you that there is not that much regulations that relate to this industry. First of all, the literature actually suggests that this industry is mostly self-regulated. But you can know that if we say like self-regulated, it just means that it's not that much regulated. It's not sufficiently regulated as well. And based on the legal literature that we dig in, also it mentions that there are no bar on information about the amount that these data brokers can collect and how they can resell this information. So basically, the law, when you think about GDPR and when you think about the Privacy Act, US Privacy Act 1974, and also the other data broker law that was come up, actually it's a bill that came up in 2014 that I will introduce you a little bit later. All of them doesn't restricts how this information can be used and can be sold. What they regulate is about to notify the customers or notify the subject that is a subject of collections. Sorry, should be notified. So it's about notification, not about how this information should be treated and also how this information should be like a sold. So these parts are not that much regulated at this point, still until this point. And even though the Vermont and California, these two states are requiring a lot of data brokers to be registered. However, a lot of data brokers decide to not go registered. I will introduce you why when we actually go to that part a little bit later. And this very little known data broker industry is actually spending a huge amount of money to lobbying the Congress. So what they are doing is that they are trying to like stop or trying to go against kind of like a bills or regulations that can come up by the Senates or by the governments. So they are lobbying a lot of money to the Congress. And you can see that the biggest amount was spent by Oracle. You know that Oracle is very famous on ERP system, what they developed centuries ago. However, now you can see that they are spending a lot of money as a data broker. And also they are a huge player in the data broker. I'll introduce you how actually they collect this information from their customers a little bit later here. As you can see that here, can you see the third runners and fourth runner here? Data brokers, they are PwC and Deloitte, and that is our area.
I don't understand that. Do they sell people's information to someone else? PwC actually, and Deloitte?
No, they don't. Actually, when you go back to their privacy policy statements, or when you go back to their, actually they have a, so they have a system that they collect this information from their customers. When you go to their privacy policy statements or end user license agreement, they mentioned that we can use the information that we collected for any purposes that meets our business objectives. So they don't mention that how they sold this information, but when you go to the end user license agreement, they say that every information that we collected from our business activities, we have the authority to do whatever we want.
Yeah, I'm not quite familiar. What is RELX? What is RELX? That company?
I'm not sure about RELX.
RELX is the company that Erica is working. It's basically they are a publisher.
Oh, publisher.
Yeah, they publish. I think it's Bergamot, not one of them. That's what Erica has been working on.
I'm not sure about PwC and Deloitte. However, I can introduce how Oracle actually collects those information and make giving incentives to companies to share their information to themselves. So before I go back to that part, I want to introduce about the trend of this kind of like data broker law about their transparency. It started from early 2013. So starting from 2013, there was a huge kind of discussions in the Senate and also from the government side and also from FTC. FTC is the Federal Trade Commission. So a lot of these kind of attentions was coming from the academics. So academics start from coming up with a lot of different types of paper. The forerunner in this area is Professor Catherine E. Tucker in MIT. She wrote a lot of paper about talking about the data broker industry and the digital platform. And it took a lot of attention in the Senate and the Congress. So basically what was happening here is that, sorry. After having all of these discussions about data brokers and the concern, there was an act coming up about the Transparency Act in 2014, is that requiring the data brokers to make available their information, what they have collected. So you can see that a lot of these like data porters or quasi data brokers, they are mentioning what kind of information that they collect and how they are actually shared with other parties in their privacy policy statements. However, this was like mostly a suggestion. It's not like a kind of requirement, and they didn't even define the data brokers so well. So it does not have any kind of enforceability. And also in 2018 and 2019, actually, there was two different types of state level data broker law, and this was about their registration. So these two states, starting for Vermont and California, followed Vermont's data broker registry as a part of their California CCPA, the Privacy Act. They're saying that if you're a data broker and if you meet the definition, you have to be registered. And if you are registered, basically you have to provide how these customers can opt out from your data collections activities. Okay, so that was a part of the state law. Well, actually, we have some questions here.
It's a discussion.
Oh, okay, thank you. So these were the two laws. I want to go here, Vermont and California. Actually, I'm the part that which thinks that this is not really that much effective. So let me just tell you why I think that's not really that much effective. So first of all, I just told you that Vermont and both California, they all require these data brokers that meet their definitions to be registered on their websites. And actually, they have to provide the information how these customers can opt out from their data collection activities. Okay. First of all, you just saw that the definition is a loose knot, right? It is not a clear definition, right? Data broker is not a clear definition. Second part is that basically, even though you are data brokers, if you are not registered, you only need to pay $100 per day. So that is a penalty that you have. So as you can see that like those big data brokers, they earn a huge money. And if they have to decide to, if they are different data brokers, they can just think that, no, we just don't want to review our activities. We will just pay $100, right? So it's not like a huge penalty for themselves. And the third part is that if you are registered as a data broker in Vermont or California, then you are waived to provide your data collection. You are waived to tell your data collection activities before you collect the information from your customers. So they call this pre-collection notice exemptions. So pre-collection notice is that the data brokers or these type of companies should notice their customers before they collect this information from their customers. So that is why when you access a website or when you go to a website, they ask you whether you allow the cookie collection activities, right? So you can allow the cookie collections or you can deny it, right? These are called pre-collection notice. If you're registered in Vermont or California, you are exempt from that. You are waived to notice your customers that you're collecting those information. Actually, they're just, the way that they justify this is that they're saying that, yeah, because you are registered in the data broker website, so you provided that information already in our website. So you don't need to actually provide that information in your website. So it's a very complicated, very loose knot kind of like regulation, which is not clear. And as of yet, you can see that there is no federal privacy legislation. So you can see that this is 2021. report, you can see only California and Vermont and Colorado, that is other state, has this type of like a private state level data broker registrations. However, most of the states, they don't have that much progress on this privacy legislation. So there is no kind of like a federal law that can affect this activities here.